So, last we left off, you guys had exited the Shadowfell, um, returning to the Prime Material Plane very briefly so that you guys could run a few errands, such as properly freeing the formerly enslaved persons, looking for magic items, all that sort of fun stuff that you usually do in the in-between time. You managed to get the formerly enslaved person set up with someone that can help them find jobs, potentially, as well as a therapist. And once everyone was squared away, you guys set up the Fey hole, as you've taken to calling it, and stepped through to find yourselves in the Feywild in the Summer Court. That is where we are picking up. And Lish, right away, you can tell that the pixies in your hair are just kind of buzzing with excitement.
They're like, yay! Gree, I'm sure, is a little bit like, I don't want to melt.
I mean, yes. But it's very beautiful, very vibrant. What would you guys like to do?
Well, we'll have everybody go through the portal, and Lish and Demir take a little second to be like, yes, good. And I'm kind of curious how everybody else in the party is reacting.
Demir will eventually let Lish down on the floor again.
If I remember correctly, Bulk's lying on the floor with Erin's jacket resting on her.
Yeah, he threw it on top of her. Ooh, thematic.
Well,
Tobias is gazing around the, Go ahead. You sure? Tobias is gazing around the Feywild. He looks intrigued, but he's also apprehensive.
Valk, while you were laying on the ground just staring up, a little pixie, not one of the ones that lives in Lish's hair, but a foreign pixie, wearing a little dress that looks like it's made out of bluebell petals, kind of like lands very briefly on your face and looks at you and then zips away.
Well, what should we do first? I suppose we should make a couple of calls.
Yes. Is this the area safe? Demir's going to give it a brief, look around and see if there is anything immediately problematic in the area.
Roll this would be perception or investigation?
Let's do investigation, because I'm actually good at that one.
Lish is tucking the Fey hole into his bag, so we don't lose it.
Well, I didn't roll great for Demir on this one, but that's okay, because I have good ads. That's 17.
17. This was investigation. You don't really see signs of anything. I mean, there's lots of flowers, and it's all very beautiful and kind of, well, frankly, almost intoxicating in its beauty, but not literally, at least not in a dangerous way. You're doing all right for the moment. Lish, were you also rolling, or
For some kind of sending or something?
just
Or
kind of making sure there's nothing around?
oh, sure, yeah. He'll just take a look around, make sure everything's safe. The
Okay.
perception.
Question. Does the Feyhole still work in the Feywild, so like we could use it to teleport randomly within the plane?
It looked different once you guys walked through it.
I think we could take it back to the PMP, perhaps.
Just wondering as a means of, oh shit, bail.
It doesn't
I
work
gotta.
for a certain number of hours, right?
It doesn't work for like somewhere between 3
Yeah.
to 8 hours right now.
I believe you rolled an 8.
Yeah. I got a 21 on a perception check.
You feel like your arrival's been noticed, but you're not necessarily in imminent danger.
We should definitely properly announce that we're here. He's gonna go look and see if he can find a big tree.
Plenty around you. Take your pick.
He'll go to kind of whatever one looks the oldest and wisest and
All right.
kind of put a hand on the trunk and say, if possible, could you please let Her Majesty Lady Titania know of our arrival?
A breeze kind of passes through the leaves of the tree, indicating that your message was heard and will be passed on.
Lish kind of turns and he's got this like stupid big grin on his face. It's like, fucking finally. Some manners.
All right. Demir.
Demir is looking at Lish with that fucking like if you saw it in a soap opera, you would be screaming, like just absolutely soft eyes in love, like staring at him talking to this for like a solid few minutes. And when he looks back, she's just like fucking smiling at him for a moment or two before like she remembers what they are doing and where they are. And sits down and pulls out her scry orb. Should we reach out to Benadrina first, or there's Dante I want to scry on. There's who should we start with?
I think we should talk to the Sugar Plum Fairy, perhaps. She did have good information. Unless you think Xanthe is able to perhaps deliver a more concise message.
I think she's a little more discreet, at least. I guess I could see where one or the other is and talk to them based on that, I guess.
I leave it to your discretion.
I think Demir is going to scry on the Sugar Plum Fairy first.
All right. Let me grab her stats real quick. Not that one. That one. Ah, goodness. This is the problem when you get so many different things to play with. I know what her stats for. Okay. You know what? This will do for now until I can pull up her proper stats. What would be the DC for this?
So I have met her. I don't think I'm familiar with her.
You're, familiar with her in that you know, like, who she is. You've met. You're not, like, besties, but, like...
Yeah, so it would just be a straight 17, I think.
Okay. For charisma?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. That'll do it then. So you catch a glimpse of the Sugar Plum Fairy. She is rather small. And she's wearing a sparkling purple dress. And she's got little tiny, almost fly-like wings on her back. And her hair, also purple, almost the same shade as her dress, is kind of twirled up in almost like a little swirly beehive-like hairdo. It kind of defies the laws of physics. But you see her, she seems to be clutching to a chandelier made of ice, close to the ceiling of wherever she is. And she's kind of sitting there.
Do I recognize the chandelier? It's ice, so I assume it's winter court, but
It looks rather wintry. It looks like a chandelier that you'd find in the palace. You don't know what specific room it's in. But
fair enough.
It looks fancy. It's sparkling, blue.
Okay. Demir will kind of take a deep breath, brace herself, and Lady Benedrina, this is Demir. We had reached out to you earlier, and now we can talk a little easier. How are you?
Oh my goodness, it's been a little while since I've heard from you.
Yeah, it's been a bit. But we have, like I said, easier means of communicating now.
Well, I'm glad to communicate, because things are a little weird here. Things have been kind of showing up out of nowhere in the Feywild, and people have been trying to get rid of it, but, like, not here in the court, but also in the other courts, and sometimes they'll wander in here, and they'll send a hunting party out to go get it. She just kind of just starts yammering.
Wait. Did you say that there are other representatives of the court in the Winter Palace? Is that where you are?
Oh, well, yeah.
Who?
Well, there's a lot of the nobles. There's a few people from the Frostville. The new lady brought in some people from from the Unseelie. They've been hanging out a little bit more. But then when the things show up, they usually just send whoever wants to go and get it to go get it,
Well, sure, but are they all working with field dice? I suppose, but do you know why?
I mean, we all have to kind of work with her since she's the one in charge right now.
Well, yes, of course. Do you know what they're doing?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I keep trying to listen into conversations. It's super cool because I can turn invisible. But sometimes they notice me, sometimes they don't. They don't really notice me because I'm small. But I do my best, to try to keep in, and then I go and talk to, of course, the Selkie queens and try to keep them updated on what's going on. They're out by the ocean and by the Frostflows, not near the Court of Coral, but they've been hanging out. They also have a bunch of the babies with them too.
I'm glad they're okay. Do you know where Samantha is?
I've been for a little while. I don't think she's frozen like the other ones, but she hasn't been really present in the fort.
Okay. That's good. Who else is out there? Do you know?
Well, I know that the Lady of the Ancient Frost has been talking to her a lot. So has Marquis Nevin. They seem to be good friends. Just people.
Demir just visibly grimaces for a hot second there. Well, can I trust you to keep a secret?
Oh yes, I'm really stoic all the time.
Please don't.
Like a steel trap. Like an iron trap.
Yeah. We are in the Feywild. We're coming, so let those who are still loyal to King know. But be careful, be discreet, and don't get caught.
Oh, I'm very discreet all the time. Lady Keone, Mr. Krakenclaw, and Mr. Aronshire are all frozen, but I know that the Lantern Lady and the Sinmac, and the Selkies, they are all not very happy with the new lady.
I can imagine. Fuck her.
I don't like her very much. That's why I listen in the conversation.
Well, keep listening in. If you have anything good and juicy or helpful, please pass it on. We will get the court back soon.
Mr. Umberhooves he's kind of skeptical of her. He is really only sticking around to protect his record. I know that the Marquis, he's trying to fuck her, but she's not interested. Probably. I know that the collector, he's been around. He's been trying to find shinies around the palace, but I keep telling him not to take them.
Sounds good. All right. You keep doing what you're doing. We'll be in touch. Stay safe.
Sounds good. I even usually here in the palace, or if I can speak away, talking to the Selkie matriarch.
Good. Good. All right. Take care. Demir will end the scry and repeat back everything that she was told to Lish.
I think, well, yeah, he'll just smile and nod, like, okay.
She said that there were representatives from Frostfell in Winter Court and the Unseelie as well.
Not entirely surprising.
Frostfell, maybe not. Unseelie.
Well, there's quite a few hanger-oners. But there's always those that wanted a bigger place at court than they really should have had. I'm not surprised that they wouldn't take advantage.
Makes sense. All right. Should I look? Well, should I try and locate the Selkie matriarchs?
I think perhaps if there's anybody else in the court. You said that you wanted to speak with Xanthe, or
I wanted to find. That's all.
can we do both?
Yes, sure. I can find her. And I can look for the matriarchs. So, either way. I'm going to try and scry on Xanthe, though. I think that it's, let's say I know her pretty well. I think it's...
That's it, Tom.
Yeah. I'm always confused about how these ads work. I think it's a 22.
Okay. I mean, she rolled like shit, so you can scry on her pretty easily. Your vision clarifies as you peer into the scrying orb, and you can see Xanthe, the pine tree dryad, with her dark, kind of almost textured skin, just like on the precipice, and her greenish hair. She seems to be out in the wild somewhere. She's standing in the snow, and she seems to be kind of leaning around a tree and observing something.
She is out in the snow, so
Mm-hmm.
does she look to be in the winter court?
Looks like it.
Okay. I guess I'll just watch her for the 10 minutes that I can. I can't.
Okay.
Thanks, so.
Whatever she's watching, she is watching very intensely. And eventually, when a twig snaps near her, she kind of whips around to look at it before almost kind of not entirely, but melts into the side of the tree she's standing near, and she becomes much more difficult to see for a moment until the scry ends.
Campaign is in the winter. I don't know exactly where, but she was looking at something. I don't know what.
Watching something. Seems like there's probably quite a bit of activity going on. For nefarious purposes.
Yeah, seems like it's pretty busy out there. Between all of its visitors.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if the Unseelie have a bit more of a presence above ground at the moment.
Well, I mean, she did say that they're out there and visiting the court, so, I imagine. Yeah. Okay. Demir's going to look at Lish and just, the Selkies, or is there someone else I should look for?
The Selkies are able to meet us.
They're in the ocean, or so Belladrina said. I'm sure she'll tell them that we're here, but I can find them at least.
Just kind of nods.
So I will scry on the Selkie matriarchs. I think I met them once.
One.
So it'll be a straight 17 for them.
Which one?
Oh, I'm just gonna pick one at random. How about Briny?
Okay. Let's see. Save. She just saved.
Darn it. Demir will kind of look a little frustrated and look over at Lish like, I couldn't get her this time.
I suppose that I could try. I do have scry prepared today.
Sure.
All right. And what's your DC?
Let's remember. Wisdom 19, please.
Okay. That is a failure. Which one are you scrying on?
You scryed on Briny, right? I'll just scry on her again.
All right. You close your eyes and focus on your connection to nature, and it seems like you follow a twisting path of roots and vines, and you snake forward and flash all the way out, and suddenly you're above a frozen ocean with various ice flows, and there's another flash, and you are underwater and you can see a round, plump seal catching a fish in her mouth.
Yes, good. I can't speak through my scry, so I'll just observe and see if I can't pinpoint where she is. Probably unlikely, but try.
Perception check.
Yeah, with the staff, I have advantage on perception. 20, non-natural.
You're able to kind of logic and guess about where, more or less where she is. You get the impression that they've retreated to an area of the Winter Court, no more or less as the Frozen Sea. It's kind of close to getting to Unseelie territory, but still within the Winter Court. And as you watch, Bryony takes the fish she's got and brings it back to the surface. And she kind of bobs through the waves for a bit, for diving again, and she arrives in this sort of air pocket cave, where there are a few more Selkies, some in seal form, some in human form, kind of sitting around, along with, you get the impression that this little underwater cave is a little bit bigger than what you can see, but as a lady Bryony rises to the surface with her fish in her mouth, there is a little shriek as a toddler wanders up. Seems to be like a little male human, about 2 years old, and he takes the fish from her and almost starts to eat it raw when one of the other Selkies kind of reaches in to stop him.
Just how bundled up is this baby?
Pretty bundled, like the picture I sent you the other day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, in A Christmas Story, how he can't quite put his arms all the way down because he's wearing so many coats. That energy.
Good. Okay, yeah. He'll just keep observing until the time runs out, and this cave doesn't seem familiar to him. He doesn't know necessarily all the little caves the Selkies have around, so...
No, not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of a secret Selkie hideout.
Mm-hmm. He's taking notes. But yeah, he'll drop the scry and come back to himself. So well, the Selkies seem to be taking care of things, at least. Seems like they evacuated quite a few of the young ones, so at least we don't have to worry about that. He looks over at where Tobias and Aaron are playing tic-tac-toe in the ground. Are you guys enjoying yourselves?
Who's winning?
I'd almost say that Aaron and Tobias are like tied in terms of either getting a draw or who's wins and lost and stuff or another. And as Tobias is just like, looking down at the ground, watching Aaron like take his move and stuff, he's just like, yeah. Is your scrying going okay? He's like not even looking up at Demir and Lish.
Focused in. Gotta win.
He's locked in.
Aaron's got the all of his drawing paper that he successfully recovered from Itri's little study. And you can see that he's like diagramming out the potential moves that could happen for the rest of the game.
Oh my god. For tic-tac-toe?
Tobias purposely will make a
tic-tac-toe
weird move
is?
so that Aaron starts to look very confused and has to redo some of his calculations.
He like
Bulk
starts
leaning
shuffling
over
through
the
his
paper.
papers to try to figure out what the fuck he does now and just drops them everywhere.
He's like, oh
Bulk.
my god, what's his plan? What's his plan? What's his plan? And Tobias standing there smiling, just like, he doesn't guess that I'm purposely sabotaging. Oh my god, what happened to your camera, Lars?
I have no clue. I am working on it.
Brave.
Bulk leans over and like points at one of the pages and like, maybe this one?
Ooh, all right. Aaron will put down his piece where Volk is. Aaron will sketch out his piece where Volk is indicating.
Tobias will purposely pick a spot that makes no sense.
Yeah.
At this point, Valk probably starts sabotaging to make it even more chaotic.
Yeah, Aaron has switched to relying entirely on Volk to help him make moves.
Anyone who'd like to can make a perception check at this point.
Yeah.
Anybody can make one? I got a 23.
Okay.
A dirty 20.
All right.
Aaron got
Like an
too occupied with
18,
his
19.
15.
Okay. Anyone who got above a 12 can hear a rustling nearby.
Kind of turn to look.
Yep.
Tobias will pause in drawing his symbol into the ground and look towards the sound.
All right.
Aaron turns around, brandishing the stick he's been using to carve in the ground.
You guys can see at this point a figure emerging from the bushes. It's bipedal and wearing some kind of piecemeal leathers. His muzzle is like a tan, and the rest of his fur is brown, as a Herringon kind of steps forward upon realizing that he's been caught. And you can hear someone in Sylvan from a different direction say, "But for folks' sake," and two more step out. And these ones are both female. One of them has more of a brindle pattern to her fur, and the other one is just solid gray. and the brindle one steps forward. You can get the impression that she's the one that had sworn, but she speaks in common this time. Excuse me. Look, I know you're probably confused, but if you wouldn't mind, whatever portal you stepped through to get here, just going back through. I mean, we've got enough to deal with here. And Lish, it's kind of interesting because you know that Harangon typically stick towards the spring court rather than the summer court.
Lish will kind of give like a little bow to them, little head nod. He's got his kind of alter self on, so he looks more fey with his darker eyes and paler skin. Says, you all look like you're a little out of place yourself.
I'm sorry, Lord, were these ones invited by you?
Some might say that.
Well, if they're accompanied, I shall leave you to your business.
And her ears kind of twitch in nonverbal communication to the other ones, and they start to get ready to leave.
Wait. What are you talking about? What sorts of trouble were you referencing?
Well, there have been things that have been showing up in the Feywild that haven't been allowed, and most of the seasonal courts have been sending various parties to go and investigate, and in some cases try to send them back where they come from, some cases dispatch of them entirely. Even I heard that the Red Knight has been going out and searching for folks that don't belong, but if you are under the protection of this lord here, you are where you're supposed to be.
Do you know what manner of creatures they're specifically wandering?
All sorts. Some from more dangerous areas, like demons and devils. Some seem to be more made of wind and fire or earth, even in some cases. Some seem to be strange, almost birdie-like things, like that one over there that points at Volks. Some seem to be more human-like, but they don't belong here, and most of the seasonal courts have been trying to send people back where they need to be. They don't belong here.
Are you trying to go someplace in particular? Are you traveling?
No, we were sent out by the queens of the summer, or the spring, to search the area in the collaboration with summer in autumn in order to put the more dangerous creatures away, send them back. It can be dangerous for the small folk, you know.
But not winter.
Winter has been taken care of themselves, as far as we know. They've not been crossing into other territories since the Queen of the Summer Sun set some of their lands on fire.
Are you headed on your way back to the Spring Court?
Eventually, we're just one patrol of many, trying to gather those that need protection, as well as send who we can back to the material plane, and sometimes engage in combat with some of these beasties. And then the male speaks up with the brown and white for hopefully not too often though.
Hopefully.
These creatures, you see, they can be dangerous for folks within our home that can't defend themselves.
Well, if you're able to perhaps get word back to your lady, could send her Lord Vavane's regards. Let her know, if you're able, for her to reach out to me if she's got a bit of time on her hands. It is important.
You can see that both the male and the gray female seem a little confused, but there is understanding in the brindle, the face. She nods and speaks in Sylvan to the other two, kind of giving orders to fall back, and all three of them scamper off into the woods.
How cute.
Well, that's a good thing to be aware of. Do you think it's because the plane's collapsing?
Does seem time hole related.
Makes sense that they'd be affected too. We have been told several times that the Feywild is pretty close to the material plane.
There was even that one tree that had come through.
Mm-hmm.
Me!
Yeah.
Oh, me was a darling.
That took me a second. But yes, that's interesting. I imagine they have their hands full, but between that and also Fiola's shenanigans. Shenanigans, putting it lightly, of course.
Perhaps we should have asked for some directions.
Perhaps.
Although,
I'm afraid of what they would have asked for in exchange.
Well.
Also, would directions have even been useful? Because you mentioned that the Feywild, it shifts a lot. Things don't work the way they do in the material plane.
With a little bit of supernatural guidance, I might be able to pick my way through just based on memory, but it's been a while. So.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Fae have their ways of remembering where the important places are. Kind of like birds.
The Feywild is a place where sometimes the path makes its way for you. Lish kind of like looks over at Volkir and Tobias and Hawk and kind of is just like, well, what do you think so far? He's like very giddy.
Pretty.
I'm gonna have
a fan of.
I'm going to have so much inspiration when when I have time to start drawing.
I am a fan of nature, and this is some of the most abundant nature I've seen. Definitely, top one. I'd go for a wander if I didn't know what would happen if I did.
It feels too perfect. It makes me nervous.
It's good to be cautious. But sometimes beauty and nature is just beauty and nature.
Not this kind.
Mm.
It feels like there's something else here.
There's certainly eyes.
Watching everywhere.
Lish kind of bumps his shoulder with yours.
Thanks, Damir.
Tobias kind of grimaces when Damir mentions eyes everywhere.
Well, we can wait and see if Titania sends somebody to find us. But I think perhaps we try and get to the summer court.
Wouldn't be surprised if word of your arrival spreads after that group finds us. I'm sure someone will go, well, what did you find? And they'll say, oh, we found we found a Feylord. And they're like, what?
I did ask the trees to pass a message along for us.
Speaking of trees, would there be a tree that you're familiar enough with? Excuse me, at the summer court for
Well, there is
transport?
a very, very, very big old tree there. DM, would it be rude to teleport through the side?
That's your house. What the fuck's wrong with you?
You can't just teleport through someone.
When you and the bros teleport through the back of Oberon's throne.
Well, I would imagine that the
Like a
throne itself would be
generation type thing.
magic not to do that.
Oberon about to walk up to his throne, coffee cup in hand, just sees a group of people walking out behind it, and it's just like, bitch, what the fuck?
I was gonna sit there.
No, Lish teleports through
My
the
day is
tree
ruined.
and is sitting on the throne just like, sup.
Or who knows, maybe Oberon could just like look and he goes, I can't work in these conditions. I can't deal with this. I'm taking, secretary, I'm taking a day off. Write that down, pencil it in, change my meetings. I'm taking the day off.
Cancel all my appointments.
Secretary,
Cancel
standing
your
there just
appointments.
like, bruh. Bruh, are you serious? And he goes, sorry, I can't do it. Can't work today. People came out of my throne. No, can't do it.
Vibes are off. You threw off my groove.
You threw off his groove, and then we get thrown out by like 5 burly fairies.
An hour later, we teleport back through the throne tree.
Anyway, that scenario is lovely. That's probably not what we actually do.
No, I think this is a good plan.
Right into the throne room. I can't imagine anything would go wrong. Lish kind of like taps his chin and kind of thinks, well, there are many trees around the summer court, though wouldn't want to necessarily show up too unannounced. DM, would there be like a tree kind of on the outskirts of the court that I could recall?
I mean, teleporting through trees in the Feywild is a tricky endeavor because you never know if the trees are people or not.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
the thing is,
or if they've moved.
Yeah, you've announced your presence. So if Titania is willing to see you, you will be able to find a path.
I think that we can make our way. I think that if we pick a spot headed towards the sun,
Are we gonna ride off into the sunset? Is that what's gonna happen here? Aaron has little stars in his eyes.
He's like, well, the sun rarely sets in this area. So I hope you guys love midday afternoons for a long time.
It'll be a nice change of pace from dreary midnights for several days at a time, at least.
Aaron's
We'll get
eyes,
our vitamin D.
Aaron's eyes increase to their max brightness, so he's just a little floodlight right now. He's like, I would not mind some light right now.
Whatever you do, stay pointing away from me. Tobias grabs Aaron by the shoulders, has him directed elsewhere, just away from him. So he's not getting blinded by the floodlights.
Toby straight up using Aaron as a flashlight, carrying him around.
Aaron has many uses. Aaron's gonna go, I don't know, find a nearby flower and beam at it.
Plenty of flowers around. It's very beautiful.
Heck yeah.
As we travel, though, probably should avoid damaging as many things as we can. He kind of looks a little bit at all of the dirt carvings that have been made into the earth,
Alright. Can I have someone roll a d10, please?
I can't.
That one's a D10, okay. You can go, though.
Okay. That's a 4.
Okay. So as you walk, you let's say Demir, because you're the one that rolled. You hear a strange sort of crackling in the distance, like a fire.
Do you hear that? Demir is going to look specifically at Lish and Toby.
Now that Demir pointed it out. Yeah. Now that Demir has pointed it out, you can hear the sound.
Sounds of crackling oats.
Is that a normal part of summer? Sun, fire?
I mean, the heron, or the creatures who spoke to us earlier did say that the summer court queen lit stuff on fire, so...
They also mentioned visitors that were made of it.
Fire elementals.
While you're chatting about it, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not necessarily something dangerous. Could just be cooks.
That's fair. If it were elementals and they were being fought, we'd probably hear some sort of scuffle as well, like blasts of magic, clangs of... Actually, no, I don't think swords would make noise if they had a fire elemental.
That is a good question.
I made a fire.
Quick, we can fight fire with fire. And Ball pulls out her stone of constant fake fire.
I don't think that's necessary.
I love it.
Well, do we want to investigate or do we want to just pass it by?
I should take a look. Might as well.
The party walks over to where the fire sound is, and it's just a white space. It hasn't loaded in yet.
We get a Skyrim loading screen.
Just the ground has loaded in and like a couple trees, but not all the way, so it's just the trunk so you don't run into them.
Fire just kind of has to stand there and wait a little bit, occasionally turning, looking away, and then looking back to try and see if it helps it load.
What's
all
like
the trees look like cyber trucks.
What's the like slowly
no, wait, hold on.
zooming in model in the top right? And what's the reminder text in the bottom left?
Well, it basically looks like Max's video.
You can fast travel via tree, but be careful. Sometimes they're not always in the same position you left them in.
Just imagine fucking there's the crackling sound where What is this? Like, what's making the noise and stuff, and the notification pops up for DLC?
Bulk's feathers aren't loading in properly, so they're just clipping like crazy.
You have
We
to
just-
buy the DLC before you can complete this quest.
in case you couldn't hear us, we decided to go check out the fire while you were up, and so we started making unloaded zone jokes.
Fair enough. So you manage to come upon the thing that is burning and to find that it is a tree. It appears to be on fire, but not consumed by the flames. And it's interesting because as you get closer, there's no real heat emanating from the flames. But you can hear kind of whispers emanating from it.
I make a perception check around, see if we just missed somebody who was here.
Is it like my rock?
Roll a perception check.
And I guess I would roll Arcana because magic, understanding.
I got a 29.
You can't really make out what they're saying. It's like you're on the precipice of hearing. Volk, what were you trying to do?
I'm seeing if it's like my magic rock that is fire, but not actually fire, and I rolled like a 4. So
Okay. This is some Fey shit happening here.
I have no comprehension.
Well, I suppose if we can't find the owners of the fire, that we just continue on.
Okay.
I mean, unless anybody else wants to investigate it.
Well, can't you ask the tree if it wants to be put out?
Lish will take a step towards the tree and ask in Sylvan, "Are you being harmed? I mean, can you tell?"
Let's see. Since you asked in Sylvan, you hear just a weird kind of almost telepathic voice in your mind. And it makes no fucking sense what it's saying, but it says, "My whispers ride the evening breeze, the warning song of ancient leaves. For here the air is thick and sweet, a honey trap for weary feet."
It does not seem like a place that we should perhaps stop. He's just like, he just takes a step back and like bows a little bit and just like, yes, let's not linger here.
Okay. All right, you continue on. Those of you that have not been to the Feywild before, it is beautiful here, despite the burning tree in the back. It is beautiful, and there's signs of nature everywhere. Like there's, while the Shadowfell was more of a reflection of the prime material plane, you're kind of expecting the Feywild to have similar markers, but you don't really see anything here that's familiar. I mean, you can recognize that there are trees and that there are flowers, but you don't really know. You you were thinking before, there was the city of Gloomvale that mirrored Avatic. Maybe since you were so close to Royas, that there would be something mirroring Royas, but there's nothing. There's just nature as far as the eyes can see.
The Feywild must have split from the prime material plane earlier than the shadow fell.
Who's to say it was the Feywild that split?
Who's to say that there isn't variations of Royas and stuff for the other cities in this place, and they're just located differently?
It's true. Lish did say that things tend to move around here.
It should be some mirroring, but it is not an exact science.
People can roll a nature or arcana check if they'd like.
I was about to say, I'm good at nature, and then I double-checked my skills and remembered, oh, right, I'm not good at nature anymore.
Ah, yeah. Tobias has advantage on arcane when it comes to spells, magic items, and planes of existence. And
Let's
yes, I was just
go.
fucking checking.
Let's go! I'm gonna roll just
I
flat
can't
arcana,
read.
'cause I
It's
can't do
about
that.
Fey, fiends, or undead. I just bamboozled my fucking self again. God damn it.
Ma'am.
Congratulations, though. You are in the Fey realm.
Hooray!
This is Fey.
Wait,
I got a 13 on arcana.
they're
I don't think I'm
Fey
getting this
here.
right.
Oh,
Then
thank
18.
God, Are you fucking for real? The first roll was a 1, the second was a nat 20.
Well, good thing I had advantage.
The duality
no.
of Toby.
So that's a 28 for Arcana for Tobias.
So,
Tobias, I'll give this to you. You've done some reading with Levy before your trip to the Feywild now. You do know that there are cities here somewhere, if you can find them. There are elvish cities, and there are you can think of one human kingdom that was transported to the Feywild, but they're all very difficult to find, as the Feywild itself is nearly infinite. But you do know of their existence.
Tobias will relay that information to the party.
All right. Let's have another encounter. If someone wouldn't mind rolling a d10.
I get it. That is a 6.
6. All right. So as the party walks, Lish, you do get the impression that you are headed in the correct direction. But as you walk, it's almost like the sunlight that's peering between the leaves on the trees begins to concentrate on the party for a little while, growing unbearably hot for each one of you, as if focused through a lens. Moving doesn't help, as the intense heat seems to follow you.
So, we're ants under a magnifying glass.
No, not really. You're not being burned alive by some cruel child that's much bigger than you. But you do feel like you're all being judged in some way.
Well, I judge it back.
Who are you to judge me, the judger?
Lish is doing his best to focus ahead and not, like, almost pretend like he doesn't notice it. Keep his chin up.
Okay.
Aaron's
Vault intimidation check, and Lish persuasion check.
Oh boy, here we go.
Aaron's just gonna try to like think his best thoughts and put his best possible foot forward.
21.
Okay, not bad. I got a 23.
All right.
The feeling of being observed and judged definitely has Demir's fucking hackles up. But she kind of sees Lish acting like he doesn't see it or feel it, and is going to try and do the same and fake like she is not bothered, but
All right. Persuasion check, Demir.
can I do it as a perception check?
Sure. Deception then.
Ooh, that is crazy. Hold on. Yep. Okay. That is a 35.
35. All right. Anyone else?
Tobias will kind of hunch his shoulders, make himself appear a little smaller, and in his head is just running through the thought of, please stop looking at me.
Okay. Persuasion check.
Aaron is like focusing on his best qualities and the things he would most want someone else to see in him. Mm-hmm.
Persuasion check.
Tobias got a 19.
Okay.
Aaron got a 17.
All right. Eventually, the beams pass, but you guys feel somewhat drained and shaken from the encounter. But the woods eventually open up. Find yourself in a wildflower meadow. The air is thick with the scent of growing flowers, and the meadow around you, you can see an array of blooms that form a living tapestry of brilliant colors. Golden yellows, deep purples, blazing oranges, and radiant reds, all kind of dancing in the light, cool breeze. There are stone pillars that kind of dot the landscape, which stretch from the ground, reaching each other above to create a cathedral-like various cathedral-like gazebos for members of the court to have garden parties. And at the very heart of this meadow, you can see Titania's palace, which is a dazzling vision of nature's grandeur, and nestled deep within the ethereal heart of the Feywild. Her palace rises from the earth like a colossal living tree, its bark shimmering in shades of gold, green, and rich brown, as if capturing every hue of summer sunlight. The walls appear both sturdy and gracefully flowing, adorned with mosses, lichens, and flowering vines that seem to pulse with a faint inner glow. Delicate roses, morning glories, and honeysuckles wind through the natural latticework, filling the air with intoxicating floral fragrances. Sunlight filters through the canopy of the ancient tree itself, creating dappled shadows that kind of play across the palace's surface. There are some smaller trees around it, but they are towering in of themselves, ancient and wise. Kind of encircling the palace as silent sentinels, their branches intertwined to form a living curtain that parts for those invited by the Queen of the Summer Sun. You also can see various fey creatures around here. There are fairy dragons kind of flitting through the air in vibrant flashes of emerald and sapphire. More sprightly figures with glistening wings kind of dart among the flowers, tending to each blossom. And the palace's entrance is marked by a grand archway of intertwined branches and sunflowers that match the crown of Titania herself, giving the impression that she has left a piece of her essence to guard her domain. Do you approach? Or do you just take it in?
Before we approach, Demir is going to just kind of a little nervously fix Lish's like hair and like kind of tuck a stray like strand back where it belongs, and kind of touch her own hair a little nervously. There's no mirror or anything, so she's just kind of fluffing without any real clear idea of what it looks like or anything. But those last minute kind of appearance touch-ups. She's going to look at Lish like, good, we got this.
Lish just kind of nods. Reaches and brushes a curl out from Demir's eyes a little bit, but he looks back at the rest of the party and is like, "What do you think? Shall we go?"
Lead on, and I will follow you anywhere.
And shrugs and says, nothing else to do.
That's why we're here.
She'll nod again and can start making their way towards the palace.
All right. As you get closer to the palace, you can see that there are patterns carved into the palace's trunk. They're intricate and contain shifting patterns of vines, stars, and butterflies, which seem to kind of change subtly with the position of the sun. Lish, you would know this too. At night, there are bioluminescent mushrooms that line the various pathways that cast a soft blue glow that bathes the palace in kind of a tranquil, dreamlike aura, in addition to the many fireflies that would flicker at night. And under the moonlight, whenever Titania decides that's going to be nighttime, of course, the palace shimmers with silver undertones as a testament to Titania's rule over both the bright sun and the gentle evening hours of summer. But right now, it is seeming like midday. And you all, as your group travels, do gather a bit of attention. People are kind of curious about you and observing you. And you can see a sort of a smaller fairy standing near the entrance. She has clear, shiny wings and wears a silvery dress. Seems like it's actually woven from spider webs. Her skin is fair and her dark hair is kind of twisted up into fun buns, even though she's got a more somber and contemplative expression on her face. As you approach, she bows very low to you.
Lish will give a small bow himself.
The Queen has received your message.
I am glad to hear that. Is she able to receive us?
She is able and willing to see you in her throne room. If you would all please follow me.
With that, she very, fluidly turns and starts to move into the very large tree that serves as a palace.
Lish looks back at everybody just to make sure everybody's not missing.
No one's given away their name yet, or their pronouns.
He looks at everybody and is just kind of giving them eyebrows remember what I taught you, Quasimodo. We do not talk to the Fae and give them our names and just in his eyebrows, a whole paragraph of text.
Falk has not talked to a Fae yet, and that is her plan.
So,
His eyebrow hairs have been carefully sculpted to each say, do not speak to the Fae. Do not give your name to them. While we've been, getting closer and closer to Titania's palace, Demir has been, visibly getting more nervous. Her deception is pretty good, but she rolled not great for her deception on this one. I'll do the actual math. Well, I guess it's 25, but you guys have been traveling with her enough that you probably pick up on that she is getting more and more kind of nervous, anxious. And actually, when the party starts to leave and everyone starts heading after the fairy that greeted us, Demir takes a few minutes before she seems to be able to move. And so kind of trails a little bit in the group.
each tree sides up next to you and kind of offers you his hand.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yes, I know.
Demir will
His
take
hand is still offered to you.
Demir will take his hand.
All right. He kind of squeezes your hand. The two of you walk together. Homeboy rolled a natural 20 for insight. All right. So, Queen Attendant Cobweb leads you guys through the doors of the palace, heading for the throne room. Inside the palace, Titania's throne room is an enchanting blend of elegance and wild, untamed nature, mirroring her commanding yet almost nurturing presence. The room itself is a vast, airy space of high ceilings formed by the woven branches of the colossal trees that arc overhead, their leaves shifting between deep greens and sunlit golds, as if reflecting the queen's ever-changing moods. Shafts of sunlight filter down through the leafy canopy, illuminating the room with a soft, dappled glow that feels both warm and otherworldly. Small floating orbs of light hover near the ceiling, and Lish, again, you would know that as evening approaches, they would take on a gentle luminescence, kind of creating and turning the throne room into a starlit dreamscape. There are two thrones on the other side of the room. Titania's throne is a breathtaking masterpiece. It's a giant flower, perpetually in bloom, whose petals glow with soft, warm light. The flower's colors shift in a spectrum of rich sunset hues, from deep magentas and corals to soft, creamy yellows, and its petals are velvety and delicately lined with veins of gold. The throne itself seems to grow naturally from the earth, as though it was sprouted there just for her, and the backrest is a symphony of petals and leaves, giving her an almost ethereal glow as she sits. Surrounding the throne are smaller blooms and trailing vines, or flowers bending in reverence towards the queen as though enchanted by her presence. Beside her sits the throne of Oberon, the Green Lord. His throne seat is carved from a massive trunk of an ancient oak, yet softened by blankets of green moss and cushioned with earthy layers of thick, intertwined vines. The armrests are adorned with twisting roots that coil like resting serpents, and antlers sprout from the backrest, symbolizing his connection to the wild and dominion over all creatures. The scent of damp earth and forest dew clings to his throne, grounding it with the robust, untamed energy of the wilderness he commands. Whereas Titania's throne is a radiant bloom, Oberon's is a testament to the quiet strength of the forest's deep roots and towering canopies. Between their thrones, a shallow, clear pool of water mirrors the canopy above, reflecting dappled sunlight during the day and the gentle glow of moonlight at night. It is said that the pool connects directly to the rivers and lakes of the Feywild, symbolizing their guardianship over the land. Flowers, both delicate and resilient, float upon its surface, while delicate ghostly fish kind of dart beneath the water, their scales catching the light in flashes. Around the throne room, elegant arches and trellises guide flowering vines upward, and the walls are adorned with living murals. Plants that change depict scenes of this section of the Feywild's eternal summer. Butterflies, hummingbirds, and small creatures flutter in and out, adding life and vibrancy to the throne room. The gentle hum of nature is ever present here, blending with the sound of rustling leaves and distant bird calls, creating an ambiance that feels alive, welcoming, and ancient. Perfect reflection of Titania and Oberon's reign over the summer fae. Titania herself sits upon her throne. She is, frankly, quite beautiful. She's around 9 feet tall, and her skin is dark, earthy brown. She has long, wild, curly black hair, and upon her head is a crown made of sunflowers. She's wearing a sort of a gossamer gown that, when the light hits it just right, it seems almost transparent, but still shining with a beautiful and elegant opalescence. And her wings are clearly visible even as she sits upon her throne. There are 6 of them and appear to be the broad, colorful, vibrant wings of monarch butterflies. As she sits and waits, her feet barefoot and crossed at the ankle, as she sits with her hands in her lap and her posture ramrod straight as she watches you all enter the room.
What's her expression look like?
Roll an insight check.
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
I would like to know, in fact. Ooh, 19.
Seems pretty neutral at the moment, but there is slight hardness to her eyes.
His steps forward do seem to hesitate for a half a second before he gets back into a pace and glances over towards Demir, walks
Demir
forward.
let go of Itri's hand and step behind Lish when he looks at her. At his side, behind him, supporting him.
Tobias, seeing Damir move to support Lish, will move to his other side.
Ooh. Yeah, he'll lead the pack towards the thrones, but he'll kind of stop at like a, appropriate distance, and he'll tip into a nice bow and look up at her and say, "Your Majesty."
Lord of Ice and Snow, it has been a long time since you have graced my hall.
It has been. Too long, perhaps.
Perhaps.
I am glad to be here now, though.
I must express my curiosity why you have brought liars into my home and those that greet the unknown with anger. And she directs her gaze towards Demir and Valk individually.
Demir's face just goes very hot and she looks down.
Lish kind of looks towards Demir and holds his hand out to her.
Nervously looks at him and takes his hand kind of hesitantly.
He'll take her by the hand and kind of draw her up towards his side. And he does not look ashamed at all. He looks proudly at Demir and then to Titania and says, "We did not have a chance to have you two meet before everything happened. Of course, we were celebrating, but Your Majesty, I would like to introduce you to my wife, Demir."
Demir will do a little bow. Nice to meet you. Finally.
She's kind of watching you for a few moments, not saying anything.
Are you frightened of me?
Demir looks at Lish a little like she's looking for some sort of guidance as if he can tell her how she's feeling. And she looks back at Titania and just hold on. A little bit, yes. This is perhaps not the circumstances that either Vervain or I were hoping to make introductions.
Perhaps not, but it is good that you are honest with me. I do not abide by liars in my home.
As for my friends, they are all of strong will and good character. We are all working towards several different goals right now. But I assure you, we are all working towards positive differences in both the Feywild and other planes.
I would be very interested in hearing of these goals of yours. As I said, it has been quite a long time.
Yes. Well, we have already heard a little bit about some of the issues that have been happening in the Feywild since I've been away. And things that you have had to take into your own hands when perhaps it would be better if things had been able to be resolved other ways, as well as creatures that are having to be handled across all the courts. It's happening in other areas as well, not just the Feywild.
Indeed.
We are hoping to solve several problems, but I am curious. Sorry?
We can certainly use help.
And so you've come to me requesting my aid.
I wouldn't say requesting, more that it is mutually beneficial. You've heard.
What sort of aid do you come seeking then?
Amir looks over at Lish.
That's actually a good question.
We're hoping to do a number of things. We are going to go to Fall and try and break a curse. And we are going to go to Winter and break another curse on the throne. And in doing so, we are hoping to also cure what is going on with the time and breaking of planes. If you have any aid or support that you would wish to give us in helping us with these endeavors, support for restoring balance and easing chaos, we would help with these things. And to be clear, even if you should not wish to give us any kind of boon, aid, assistance with personnel or otherwise, we are still going to be doing these tasks. So you need not worry.
I am not worried, little one. She kind of smiles at you a little. In that motherly way of hers. I would be willing to offer, but the question is what you would offer in return.
Would you like Fiola off the throne of the Winter?
I have seen many different rulers over many different seasons in my time.
But would you like to keep her on the throne?
Why is it that you are so eager to get back?
He kind of takes a step forward towards her, and he looks at her with this like earnest passion and determination that is like verging a little bit on anger. Not towards Titania, but towards the situation. He says, because it is mine.
You have been given many gifts over your centuries. Time is more fluid here than it is perhaps where your companions come from, as you very well know. What is yours now is a chance at immortal life with this woman. I'm simply curious. Why do you want to go back?
Because it is not who I am to be this way. It is not my place. And I would bring her with me, as it was meant to be. This is not right. This is a corruption of the truth. I feel it. Can you not feel it? The wrongness, not just in the time, but in the place.
You say this is not who you are. Who are you?
It is hard to say it as I am, but I feel it in my bones. There is ice and winter there. It is where I belong, with the people. I have something that I need to protect, and I am not able to do so like this.
Who are you?
I am King Vervain of the Winter Court.
With that, she gets to her feet, and you can see at this point that her long, kind of tumbling curls trail maybe a foot or so past her ankles. And her wings sort of spread out so that they catch the light. And the spider silk fabric that she has wrapped around herself shimmers in the light. I would be able to
give gifts in order to aid you on your quest, Lord of Winter. But things do not come for free. We must abide by our rules, as much as I would wish to simply gift you what you need to be gifted. What is it that you feel would be a boon for you and yours?
Out of character, what do we think? Something to maybe travel through the Feywild a bit easier?
Travel
comes
could
to
be
mind
good
first.
because we do have an objective other than just kicking Fiola out of your chair.
Right. There's like 3 things to do on this plane.
Yeah, we've got the witch, we've got Fiola. What's the third thing? Was it just
Any
spitballing?
like time dilation bullshit from the indefinite, anything like that.
I mean, we don't do that in the Feywild, though.
Well,
But I get the point.
taxing
You
together.
know that Titania has a great armory she could gift from. She is also capable of granting more godly boons if she so chose. Stuff like resistance to necrotic damage and stuff like that.
I was gonna.
Also able to offer smaller boons such as a hero's feast if she so chose.
I was gonna say, other than traveling through the Feywild, because that is a good option because we've got multiple points of interest within here that we want to visit. Something to like combat the cold of the winter court, especially when it's all, ice queeny because of what Fiola's doing, would be very handy in securing Lish back his throne.
It wouldn't be bad in the fall court either, I'm sure. I think it's a little chilly there.
Something
Yeah,
that
so-
get around without notice from other Fae could also be useful.
That is, yeah. Maybe combine that with the travel idea.
Are we negotiating as a team, or is this like individual negotiations?
I think it's more of a team thing. I don't think we'll get much more than like one big thing or maybe like 2 things. Maybe like an opportunity to get a couple weapons and like a bigger thing perhaps, like trout some sort of transportation thing. I don't
Safe
want
transport until you reclaim the throne, and then either a smaller or greater magic item for each person would be kind of dope.
Each
But-
I don't know if we...
person is a lot.
Each person is a lot. That's 7.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's like 6, 7-ish. Little
Lish doesn't want to
things
push
from
it
the armory
too
for
hard.
Given Falk that she called you out in particular as well, and you didn't
Yeah.
respond, so she doesn't like you.
I've been told not to talk to people.
Lish tried to smooth things over a little bit, but I think okay, yeah. Lish will say, if there is a way that you would be able to provide us with a method of traversing the Feywild safely between the different courts, especially, it would help my associates here and I with being able to complete our missions safely. And if there was any kind of ability or weapon that you might find useful for our task, especially against Fiola. If there's any weakness that you or your people have noticed of her, that would be beneficial.
The false queen hides within her throne room, rarely ventures out, and enjoys sending the others to do her dirty work for her. But I can guarantee safe passage from some of the more weak Fae as you traverse through our land. This will not protect you from more powerful figures, such as more Archfey or perhaps even the Mirage Dragon. But she lifts her hand, and within it, it's interesting because it looks almost like little saplings reach up and grow and twist around, creating a little lantern. And her eyes flare, and the lantern alights. She holds it. This will render you unseen by the weaker Fae and should assist in your safe travel.
Did she say dragon? There's dragons here?
Dragon.
Lish just nods.
Consider it an investment in seeing you back where you need to be.
What would you ask in return? Is there anything in particular that you would like?
Visit more. I enjoy hearing your story. In so many centuries since you walked these halls,
You just kind of, you see like a bit of a flush, a bit on his face, and he just kind of like ducks his head a little bit and like nods. I agree to that. Is there anything that we might do for you while we are out?
dispatch the false queen. I would also see that you remove any creatures you see that don't belong here. I have an agreement with King Necklace and Queen Etheria to remove such beings. The false queen did not wish to agree to such an arrangement in these trying times. She has decided that it is best for her version of winter to be solitary and look out for itself rather than for the good of all. Is a weakness.
And yet ever expand.
Indeed. Though I do think I did give her quite a scare the last time she tried.
He kind of gives a wry little smile. I think that is very doable. If it is within your will to do so, we are heading towards the fall. If you would be willing to have someone inform the king there that we may require guidance or passage. a heads up.
I can send a message, and in the meantime, you and your companions are welcome to wander the halls and rest until the torture so long as they make the polite choice.
What now, sorry?
Polite choices. And Lish kind of
Oh, you mean so be on our
nods.
best behavior, got it.
Lish kind of nods
Steal
and
shit,
says,
don't knock shit over. Don't bother any of the
Oops, this 10,000-year-old urn just fell over. I don't see who did it. Hawk gets turned into a tree on the spot. Anyway.
Lish says, I am certain they will do their best to do what is proper.
And I
And you-
expect to be keeping them in line.
He kind of breathes deeply at that. And he does step forward a little bit more and kind of reach his hand out towards High Queen Titania to see if she would take his hand. He kind of kisses her hand and rests his forehead against it, and then steps back again and bows very deeply towards her.
I look forward to everything being back where it belongs.
As do I. He will. Oberon is there, or is he missing?
No, he is not there.
Yeah, of course. he kind of glances towards Oberon's throne and back, and just kind of nods and makes a step back, and
as you step back, Titania vanishes.
I was gonna do like a good salute and bow. Yeah, I
You
can
still
do it to
can.
the empty
The
throne.
operative words there being were going to.
still can.
I'm sure she'll still have her eyes on us.
Lord knows she's still able to see the bullshit that we are doing.
Anya has her eyes on you.
But yeah, as the party turns to leave the throne room, Valk will give a very snappy military salute and a deep bow to the throne before leaving.
Yeah.
right.
When Lish turns back to the rest of the party, he looks at everybody and he's just like just a bit of a breath, and kind of gestures for everyone to head out.
Yeah. Aaron will give a curtsy as we leave. And he's gonna shoot Lish a quick message. Being like, I mean, first, hope you're alright, that seemed intense. But secondly, do you think this treaty oath to banish outsiders extends to all the people that Fiola's been bringing in? Friendly question.
You're muted.
I can respond to that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Lish will kind of quirk his head a bit and say, well, many of those that Fiola has brought in are originally from this plane. The frost fell, though. If they are new, they can be removed.
Aaron will nod, and for this whole conversation, he's been watching out. He hasn't been looking at Lish at all. Mm-hmm.
Lish is looking at Aaron for sure as he's burning holes in the back of Aaron's head.
Yep. Aaron feels that. Oh,
But
shit.
Lish will take Demir's hand again and kind of squeeze it, and Tobias is right next to him too, right? So he'll kind of put his hand on Tobias's shoulder and like squeeze. Little silent thanks for backing him up.
You can add the summer lantern to your inventory, by the way.
Yee.
Mira's not looking at Lish or any of the party. She kind of got her eyes down in general.
She got called out. Feel that shit?
Talk shit, get hit.
You did good though, guys. Not everything is blown up.
Woo!
Nobody lost their name to the High Queen of the Fae.
Yes.
Yet.
Yet.
I have come to the conclusion that it is best for me just not to talk to unknown Fae.
Was so generous to us, you guys. She didn't ask for like anything.
She just wants you to visit home more.
to be fair, you are her baby boy.
Visit home more often, you ungrateful little fucking boy.
I'm gonna ask for you to call me because I know it's hard for you.
You have my phone number, right?
This is what you get when you're like, I want to play the Word of Winter. He's more isolationist.
I'm gonna be honest. I was so ready for Tony to be like, "Oh, of course you only come when you need something."
I will send you the stats, by the way, for the lantern later.
Cool. So I guess we can go out and see if there's party happening. I don't know.
She did say we're welcome to stay around as long as you're behaved well.
It is still bright day at noon, but you've been awake for a long time.
Lish,
Yes.
a small question. You said to be prepared for lots of midday. Is there a night here?
Sometimes.
Define sometimes.
Yeah. Occasionally, a beautiful midsummer evening falls.
Is that something Titania does when she's feeling it, or is that just something that happens in the space?
He kind of like looks around and then kind of looks at Aaron and says, "Everything here is Titania. And if it is not Titania, then it is Oberon's, and Oberon is also Titania's."
Yeah.
So what you're
I'm not,
saying
like,
is the night only happens
expected
by
an
her
answer,
will.
something
then.
like that. Yeah. Mm.
Okay. I was going to ask
It is-
how long the nights get, but if they only happen when she feels like it, then I suppose they end when she feels like it as well.
Certainly. They can last for a long time, but they are lovely. Sometimes I might even say, he turns down to like a bit of a hush, that maybe they are a bit more beautiful even in the day. But that is just perhaps my preference from my favor of the winter.
Aaron gets a huge fucking smile and says, "Are there fireflies?"
He nods.
Aaron does a little fist pump.
If you're even a fraction that powerful when we get you back on the throne, the indefinite is fucked.
Well,
If you were to
We'll see.
estimate the number of fireflies, how many would you say?
You would not believe your eyes.
And do they deliver hugs?
Fireflies.
Approximately 10,000
Bob
fireflies.
just died. So did Demir.
Spontaneous combustion.
We'd like to make ourselves believe that they're
Titania
still with
appears and
us.
just smites you both and then yeets again.
It's like, I didn't like the look of you from the start. Ciao.
So, there were a lot of nights in the winter.
Plenty of nights. Really wonderful nights.
Kind of blushes a little bit, but she is also smiling, let's be real.
Bulk lightly retches.
As they like kind of pass through the palace, like, can we see like different like halls and like offshoots of their kind of like is being a little bit nosy, but not impolitely so, just kind of like he wants to see like what has really changed since he's been here, and not a lot, but like a little bit.
Not much. If you were looking for change, you'll want more the Autumn Court. Titania and Oberon tend to, for lack of a better descriptor, be kind of stuck in their ways. But things are as you remember them. You might see some different fairies floating about here and there. They don't live as long as Archfey do, but they're around.
It's little things like, oh my god, they like changed the type of tree color in the foyer, slightly more green.
That used to be this type of green. Now it's this type of green. Stuff like that.
Precisely.
You at one point see a little robin flutter by too. But she seems to be busy and doesn't really stop to chat. She's there.
Well, I guess we'll head out and take a look at the grounds. I'm not sure if you guys should be eating anything here. Demir and I, on the other hand, we can eat as much as we want.
For once, I'm not jealous of your guys' ability to eat naturally.
You're finally gonna get some proper fucking food.
Yeah, Lish is like, actually, like, that is just hitting him, and he's just like, oh shit, I can actually fucking eat people food.
I can actually have the fabled Feyboos I won't stop bitching about.
Like, well, you guys can feast if you want to, but I will not be held responsible for any consequences that may come of that.
Speaking of, actually, we did prepare things for us to safely eat, right?
I mean,
we got, like, rations and stuff.
I brought enough for us to, well, you to eat. I wasn't sure. Yeah. If we're hungry, we can find somewhere. I can cook something.
No, I was just wondering. I'm obviously not the one to speak for the party on that.
Are we hungry? We can assume that it's later in the day. We can bunk down somewhere.
When worst comes to worst, I do know how to actually summon a meal that won't really taste like anything.
When does taste matter to you, Hawk?
Headcanon is that create food and water doesn't taste like anything because Hawk doesn't know what it tastes like.
But he's learning.
He is learning.
It tastes like
gelatin.
lemon rind now.
It's a LaCroix of food.
That would actually honestly be a hilarious prank to pull back. Yes, I created food for the party.
She's like, here, hands you like a pale but fully cooked chicken leg. You taste it, you get echoes of rotisserie.
That's what human
No, just
food
pure
tastes
lemon
like.
rind. Everything tastes like lemon rind.
He has had Demir's cooking several times by now. So he does have some good idea, but he's still building the internal flavor profile, let's call it.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's just dumb flavor. And obviously it won't hold up if he does learn what food tastes like.
Does Lish notice any food preparation going on at the different bustling areas by the palace? Would he know where food is found?
Well, you would know that whenever she wants to throw a party, there's the courtyard of eternal summer, and the food just tends to appear on the table. But there's plenty of fire.
There's probably some fire pits that are able to be cooked at. We can go find. So we'll go and look. Go take a look.
All right. Do you want to head out into the meadow where all the gazebos are, or do you want to go to the courtyard of eternal summer?
I guess at the courtyard of eternal summer is where a lot of the food appears.
All right.
Then we'll head that way, I suppose.
Okay. So you head to the courtyard. This breathtaking space within Titania's palace is an open-air courtyard that seems almost alive with the boundless magic and vibrant warmth of an endless summer day. This vast and enchanting space sprawls across an expanse framed by towering trees whose branches form a natural archway overhead, their lush green leaves dotted with fiery blossoms that never fade. There are vines heavy with fruit that weave around these ancient trunks, providing both a canopy of color and natural columns that all seem to glow with the essence of life itself. Every element here is designed to capture the beauty, abundance, celebration of summer in the Feywild, no matter the time of day. And the courtyard always seems to be bathed in golden sunlight that bathes your skin in kind of a gentle, comforting warmth. The courtyard's grassy expanse is thick, lush, and studded with blooms that seem to open just a bit more when touched by the queen's magic. Wildflowers, including daisies, poppies, marigolds, and bluebells, spread like a radiant tapestry across the ground, woven together in a seamless display of color. But the heart of the courtyard is a beautiful fountain, which appears to be carved from a single translucent gemstone, radiating soft prismatic light. The water shimmers with a faint golden glow as it splashes and cascades, and releasing a soft, sort of melodic hum that blends seamlessly with any laughter or music from the court. This enchanted water is said to invigorate and heal, with a single sip granting a temporary boost in vitality and euphoria to all who partake. Around the fountain, there are low tables woven from natural branches and adorned with fresh flowers that are spread out for feasting, with seats made of cushioned grass and wildflowers. Lish, you would know that the Court of Eternal Summer serves as the heart of Titania's social gatherings. It's here that she holds her most extravagant celebrations, such as Fey festivals and even potentially diplomatic gatherings. And during celebrations, the courtyard becomes a place of unforgettable revelry, with the Fey creatures and guests from across the Feywild, and sometimes other realms, gather under the golden light to partake in feasts and festivals. The banquet tables are always lavishly set, laden with fruits, breads, roasted meats, and honeyed pastries. There are platters of grapes and pomegranate, strawberries, and figs that lie next to golden pitchers of nectar and wines made from Feywild ingredients, which sparkle with unnatural colors and flavors. The food, enchanted by Fey magic, has kind of an uncanny vibrancy, like the fruits taste sweeter, the wines are richer, each dish somehow captures the height of summer. Cups and plates are made of delicately shaped leaves and petals, enchanted to hold their form and color throughout the celebration.
So pretty.
So, what do you guys want to do?
Are there Fae like actively eating and drinking from the banquet?
Not at the moment. There are Fae around. There are a couple of satyrs you can see racing each other through the meadow. You can see a nymph weaving a flower crown. There's a fairy dragon that is curled up close to the top branches of one of the trees, like clearly sunning himself like a cat. There are Fae around.
In the past, would Lish know that like Fae that are guests of the court like would be able to partake in the food without any expectation that it's just fine?
Yeah. It is known that Titania will sometimes invite people over, maybe for warlock reasons, maybe for getting laid, whatever she feels like. And this is more, this is not a trap, this is more of a, hey, look at how great it would be if you fucked me.
It's a honey trap.
Hell yeah. With real actual honey.
Literally. Are there like is there like an area with like lawn games, or is this the wrong area for that?
Not really long games, but there is a dance floor.
Ooh, noted.
Are we allowed to just take over the table?
You can. Yes.
Right.
We can eat what we want.
Aaron's gonna say, we, and point at Lish, and then after a second at Demir, we, and point at everyone, and then look at Hawk.
We may. The wild roses, potentially not.
Aaron will nod.
Unless you want affiliations.
What, is being affiliated with you so bad?
Not with me.
I'm curious what you mean then.
The summer court.
We are in the summer court. We would be eating food from the summer court. Therefore,
okay, right.
We would be associated with the summer court if we partook in the food.
I thought we were talking about
Conclusion,
a table.
don't touch any of the food.
I thought we were talking about a table, not the food. My bad.
The fairy dragon, from where it's sitting on top of one of the lattice trees, gets up and kind of shakes itself, and then swoops down with butterfly wings and starts drinking directly from one of the pitchers of wine.
We probably will stay away from that one, but...
Like, it sticks its entire head in there. And then when it's done, well, like, you know how cats, when they try and put their heads in your cup? And then when it's done, the any drops of wine that spilled vanish and the pitcher refills. The fairy dragon stretches and then curls up like a cat.
Amir is going to go over to one of the unoccupied and slightly less crowded table and kind of clear off the space and start unpacking the food that she had brought from the prime material plane for the party. And as she's doing it, she kind of reaches over to one of the pomegranates and picks it up and kind of starts peeling it half without thinking about it, like starts to add some of the pomegranate seeds on top of the packet of lamb and rice and bread that she had packed together, and then stops and goes, "Oh right," and just keeps it in her own hand to munch on.
Lish does this, he's like comes over to the table and he's like watching Demmer do this. He's like, do be careful.
All right.
He looks to the party and is just like, y'all should keep an eye on your food.
It smells wonderful, delicious.
Tobias will only touch the food that Demir has put out, and what he does take, he keeps it very close to him and is like watching it constantly.
All right. Anyone want to try the food?
Lish wants to. Lish is excited.
I'd rather not get slapped by Lish. Thank you very much.
Rather than I get bound to the summer forever fever.
Anyway, so you may as well.
I mean, Tamir is eating the fave food also, but
it is so good, Demir. Like, you've never had food this flavorful.
Beg to differ.
How does it compare with the Winter Wilds foods? It's different.
Actually.
Well, it's like trying to compare, like, the types of foods that you eat in summer, like berries and fresh fruit and, like, warm bread and stuff like that, to the stuff that you eat in winter, like hearty stews and turkeys and stuff. Like, it's all good. It's just they're completely different.
He's good. Lish is like savoring the shit out of it. He's like, finally, something that doesn't taste like dirt.
Finally, some good fucking food. Your pixies come out too and start just like devouring berries.
Yeah.
Tamir is giving them an entire quarter of that pomegranate that she was peeling.
They just seem so delighted.
Aaron's eating a whole bunch of Damir's food. I mean, he looks very, very hungry right now. But he's mostly just sitting there, just staring at Lish and just watching as this experience hits him.
All right. Are there any conversations that would like to be had?
That went really well. And a lot worse.
Just good to know that it was her that was watching us back there, I suppose. Everyone seemed on edge.
Did you glare at her? He says to Volk.
It's my job to protect everyone here, and we were being monitored by unknown thing. So of course I eyed it with wariness. which I would like to reiterate my apology to the Summer Queen. Is that how we address her?
High Queen of Summers.
The High Queen of
appropriate.
Summer?
Lish just kind of like giggle, like chuckles a little bit and eats a little bit more, just amused.
It's my job to be paranoid.
Tobias at one point will kind of pause in eating his food that, or after he's done eating, will quietly bring up to the party those creatures that met us in the woods. They had mentioned a red knight. If it's possible, I would like to find information about them.
Is this related
Your
to the
knight
stuff that we're not talking about?
stuff?
Yes.
I think it's more than reason to track them down.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You're very quiet.
Sorry. I meant it's reasonable to try and track them down while we're here. I'm agreeable to that.
I'm trying to make sure that I'm honest about it. Ideally, would not like another situation like last time, regardless of how well it ended.
Always pays to know if something's gonna be coming up that the party will have to deal with. Stares in motherfucker at Demir.
Ideally, it will be something that we won't really have to deal with, more of just me having a conversation with it, like with the last one. And then just going on our way. But it's a matter of confirming whether or not they are related to the subject and where we can find them.
Well, I assume a castle like this one would have some sort of library.
True, but the question is whether or not we would be permitted to use it without having to pay a price.
We can certainly ask around, see if there's any knowledge. I don't know if we would necessarily, at this time, have access to Titania's archives, but...
Benedrina said that the Winter Court archivist is still around.
Yes. Clinging to his scrolls, so you said.
Yes, but he's an option.
Yes.
Demir kind of looks at the sky a little crestfallen, like, well, if there is another dawn, I suppose I can reach out to them.
Would they sound an alarm? I didn't get the impression they have any loyalty to Fiola, but if it's a question of self-preservation or scroll preservation.
That's a question I can't answer. I don't know them as well.
Lish?
What was that?
Would your archivist raise an alarm if contacted?
I think he's more sworn to his books than anything else, and I don't think Fiola cares for his books, so I think he would be more interested in our side than staying loyal to Fiola.
Aaron will nod. And by this point, he's pulled out his sketchbook and is very clearly drawing something while staring at.
Creeping.
He could not be being more obvious.
Does the Red Knight ring any bells for me as far as like any information Lish would be aware of?
History check or Arcana check?
Mm-hmm. $14.
14? I mean, you know, Baba Yaga has her 3 knights. One of them is red, so could be.
Yeah. Well, it is not unusual for a Fey hag to have her servants roaming around the Feywild. I wonder where it was last seen aside from what our little friends saw or heard.
Aren't the knights connected to, like, sun or time positions? IRC?
What I'm intrigued about is that when I had the vision of the Black Knight, it was wandering by itself until it sensed me, and then was heading towards me. For the Red Knight, based on what the creature said, the Red Knight seems as if it is assisting with handling people who have come to the Feywild unnaturally.
It could have been asked of it to help out with what the Fey Lords are working towards together.
Could be an independent contractor.
Could be capturing the things on behalf of Baba Yaga in a place where they won't be missed.
I wonder what would happen if you reached out to Red Knight like you did Black.
It's true. You could find the next part of your contract.
I mean, that would be ideal, but the Black Knight is who reached out to me. It made itself aware to me in a vision, and then it appeared a mere few days later. Granted, I suspect that potentially in the note it said she was aware that I had been asking questions, hence why she sent the initial knight to me. I'm wondering that if I start inquiring about the Red Knight, if something similar will happen.
Not a bad strategy. Have the news get back to her somehow.
She also might be already watching at this point. We know we have one set of hags watching us.
Aaron's gonna wave vaguely around. Hi, hags.
The one thing I would be worried about with this is just the asking around itself. You don't really have anyone to ask but Faye, after all.
And don't want to be owing favors.
There
I
are
trust you'd be
many
smart
More
enough, but-
favors.
I'm sure that there are many ancients around that would be interested in speaking about their archival knowledge at length. Perhaps
Special
even
interest
without...
info dumps.
There are probably very few people that some of these more learned Fae are able to speak to at length about their interests and knowledge, I would assume. It would be the getting away from them and that conversation afterwards that might be the problem.
So what you're saying is we should set a timer and say, for the information you share with us, you'll be able to share that information for this amount of time.
Definitely set up the conversation in a way that you cannot be held at ear for as long as the speaker wishes.
Well, does anybody have a sundial?
I don't think we ever bought an hourglass, no.
Hourglass.
We didn't bring Sundial with us. We left him back in the primary.
Sundial?
Sunny, the drow.
Zeneval.
Senevel, yeah. He has a name, you know.
Aaron pulls his seasonal dreidel back out. I got this.
You know, I really just need to make a character who's bad with names so it can just be canonical.
You start right now. Head trauma.
All right. Aaron, you pulled out the top. Roll a d4 for me.
Yes.
Just for fun.
It spins indefinitely until it lands on Summer.
Indefinite,
What?
you say? One.
Watch it land on one season, then Titania just like sort of invisibly reaches out and turns it to Summer after it's already fallen over.
What did you get, Duff?
One.
Yeah, you got winter again.
Aaron just kind of covers it up and slides it off of the table covertly.
I don't think your dreidel's balanced all that well.
I
I don't
did
think
like
it's magical.
buy it from a bin of children's toys.
And with that, I think that's where we'll call that.
On Aaron's ever important seasonal dreidel roll.
Dreidel.
Closing up like a comedy. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope it remains a comedy and doesn't go into tragedy.
True.
Give it a minute.
Give it a
Thanks
minute.
for playing, guys. As
Yeah,
always.
thanks for DMing. Sorry for showing up late today.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Excited for more.
Bye.
Goodbye.